We often get emails from fans asking us how we incorporate tricks into flourishes or flourishes into tricks. Here's one example. Just say stop right there and remember this card. You got it? We'll lose that card in the center of the pack, and I'll take half the cards and turn them face up and half face down. We'll shuffle the two halves together so you can see we have cards face up and face down. Just a mess. I'll square the packets together, and again we have face up, face down, back to back, completely random. But check this out. I can actually unmix all the face up cards from the face down cards, leaving just one. And that should be your selection. The Nine of Hearts. So this might seem familiar to you. It's Guy Hollingworth's version of Triumph and Chris Kenner's Sybil. I've just applied the two together to create a nice routine that actually makes sense. I mean, you really do what you say you're going to do. You say you're going to unmix all the face-up cards, and you demonstrate that you're unmixing all the face-up cards. And to them, it makes sense that maybe you really did do that. At that point, you spread and show there's only one left. And that's our version of Triumph, and you will need to know Guy Hollingworth, Triumph, found in his book Drawing Room Deceptions, as well as Sybil, found in Chris Kenner's book Out of Control.
So one of the first things I ever created was a coin trick, believe it or not. It's basically a way to control the outcome of a coin toss. So obviously this could be rigged over the camera, hence the title. However, trust me, this does work, as you've seen live in our lecture. So for example, on camera, I'm going to have the coin land head side up on my hand. Here we go. There you go. As you can see, head side up. Now I don't know if you can hear this on camera, but I'm sure I pointed this out live in our lecture, that if you listen, it actually has that tinging sound as it flies through the air. So again, to recap on the coin toss, or rigged as we call it, you're basically going to pinch the coin between the middle finger and the thumb, like so. The other fingers do nothing. Now what's going to happen is you're just going to snap the fingers in this action. So you're basically going to toss the coin up. However, as you toss it up, you're going to snap the fingers. And that's it. Now this was actually inspired by those bottle cap flicks. You know, where you take a bottle cap and you can flick it through the air. You could also do it with a penny or a dime. It's the same idea. You're flicking the coin, but instead of flicking it for distance, you're flicking it straight up and also applying a little bit of motion by flicking the coin up with your wrist. So you start like this, your hand goes up. When it gets here, you let go of the coin and snap, and it's going to wobble through the air, come back down, and land the same way, whichever way is pointing towards you, or whichever your thumb is contacting, that is the side that's going to land face up on your fingers. So for example, if they call heads and they require you to flip the coin over, you'd want to start with tails towards you. You catch it, there you go, heads. That's it, this is rigged.
Here's the Manfred Shuffle. This is Hank Miller's version of Ron Wall's false in the hands riffle shuffle. Here's what it looks like. So this is Hank's original handling, and after I teach you guys this, I'll show you some improved handlings that we've come up with since learning this shuffle. This is what it looks like. Before I get into the technique, let me show you what's going on. Pretty sneaky. Here's how it's done. Start by riffling half the cards in both hands, as you would do for a normal in-the-hand shuffle. At this point, your right hand, your right thumb, is going to lift up the top card and step it forward away from you. So just push that card forward about an inch. So you can see it's angle jogged or stepped forward. That's accomplished by just lifting up and extending it forward. Now it's this top single card in your left hand packet that are going to be shuffled together. This inner packet is left jogged in, hidden from view. Now what's going to happen is you're going to butt this packet and that single card together, release by just lifting up slightly with your thumb, and riffle your left packet. With practice, that card will flutter, thus giving the illusion that you're actually riffling cards off with your thumb. This is a knack, and it will require some practice. You just need to figure out the precise angle in which you need to put those two packets together. So that's how to get the card to flutter. At this point, before you release all the cards in this packet, you're going to follow the last group of cards or the last card down to the deck, to the lower inner edge. So it's riffled, you're going to follow them down to the lower inner edge, and your right thumb can reconnect with that top single card. At this point, my left thumb is at the inner edge and my right thumb is at the outer edge. They're at opposite ends. You're now going to spring your left hand packet into the right hand cards. And this is just a standard card spring as you would do for the flourish. So you're going to spring those left-hand cards into your right-hand group of cards. And the top card just falls on top and everything is complete. Now to get this false, you do have to do it twice. But it's very easy because when you spring these cards into the group, you're creating a natural bridge in the deck. So now it's a simple matter of just releasing those cards and doing the shuffle once more, and you have a full deck false shuffle. That's Hank's original handling. Now let's get into two methods that Dave and I have since come up with. Here's the first alternate handling. And once more. And once more. So you can see it's almost identical to Hank's original, but there's one added card that provides a lot more cover. Here's what's happening. So just as before, you riffle off half the cards. Now, instead of holding back one card, you're going to hold back two cards. Those two cards get jogged forward to the front. Now, when you butt those two cards together, you're just going to riffle off the lower card of those two cards. It's that card that gets riffled, or you cause it to flutter. So now you're holding cards with both thumbs. No longer is your thumb mimicking the action of holding a card. It really is holding a card. And that gives you a lot more cover, and the illusion is perfect, almost perfect. So, riffle, hold back two, jog forward. It's that second card that gets fluttered. Everything else is done the exact same. Here's the second alternate handling and our favorite. Here's what it looks like. This version You only need to shuffle once, and it is a full deck retention. And once more, before I get into the explanation. Basically what you're doing is faking that you're taking half the cards. You're only taking one card in your right hand. So this is the action. You riffle, and as you kick everything over, you quickly move everything over but the top card. And now, you're just faking that you're riffling that packet. So you're just fluttering the top card, and again you spring that packet into the other packet. You can also hold back 2 cards, which gives you a little more cover, and do the same thing. This version is completely false and you don't have to do it twice. So once more, and that's the Manfred Shuffle.
So depending on whether I was able to obtain some edamame during our lecture, you might not have seen this trick. However, I love eating sushi, and whenever I dine, I always order a bowl of edamame. So here's a trick with them. So reach in and you take out a pod, say this one here, and you squeeze out the beans between your teeth. Like so. So there are the beans, and you have an empty pod. Now, I don't think anyone would test you on this, but it really is empty. They could actually feel that and examine it if they wanted. So here's where the magic comes in. Watch the empty pod and the beans. Or what we're going to do is restore them. There's 1, 2, 3. The beans are actually back inside the pod. There it is. If you wanted, you could squeeze these back out. That's it. That's edamame. So the method for edamame is very direct. You probably already have it figured out. You need a bowl of edamame, and I like to do this trick with a pod with 2 beans. And you need an extra pod. So try to find 2 similar pods, like such. And what you're going to do is finger palm one of the pods. Now I like to clip the tip of one of the pods between my first and second finger, like so. This allows the other 2 fingers to kind of hang loose without finger palming. So it's clipped, just make sure you don't have the tip exposed on the outside of your fingers. So it's clipped there. When you're ready to begin, reach in and take out the matching pod. You can show the beans are inside the pod, and what you're going to do is squeeze them out with your teeth. So just imagine these are my teeth, and you squeeze out the beans. Oops. So there it is. So then you drop them back in your hand and you can show the empty pod. And it really is empty. Now all you have to do is David Williamson's striking vanish. This is a very common slide explained many places, but basically in the action of 1, 2, on the 3rd strike, this hand's going to toss the beans and you're going to catch them in your right hand. Now it's a little tricky because you have this pod, but that's also why it's clipped. So you have the other fingers free to catch the beans. So 1, 2, 3, and I dropped one. So make sure that doesn't happen. If it does, just make sure it happens back here. But anyway, you get the idea. You catch the beans, and then you drop the empty pod, and you mime like it's full. So to them, it should seem like the magic's happened. The beans are now back inside the pod. On the offbeat, as you look up, just come over and switch it for the full pod in your right hand. So you show it, come over here, and you take the full one. And now from here, you can push out the beans and show that it really was restored. And that's it. That's edamame.
Here's a neat trick that incorporates T.G. Murphy's deck flip into a trick. Here's what it looks like. I need 2 aces. Let's go with the 2 green aces. There's one. And the other one should be, there it is. So I'll leave one of them face up on top, and one of them face up on bottom. Now I need a card selected, so just say stop right there. Perfect. We'll take this card, show it to you guys. Remember it. So we'll lose that card in the center of the pack. Now we have the aces on bottom and top. Watch them. Just like that, they vanish from the top and the bottom, only to appear in the center, sandwiching one card, the selection. I call this trick seduction, and I think the title fits fairly well with the effect. With that said, you should probably use the 2 queens to help you find the chosen card. So to start, place one queen face up on top and the other queen face up on bottom. You're now going to perform the Spin Doctor double. This was taught on our DVD, The Trilogy in the Trick TiVo 2.0. Here it is. You riffle down the pack, having someone say stop. At one point, you riffle 2 more cards, and you're going to revolve that card out with your middle finger, pivoting it off your ring finger. You're going to push that card through the packet. Up until that point, you grab the deck, and now the double is held by that packet. You can now take the double away from the deck with your left hand, holding it like so. Now you're going to place your thumb on this outer left corner and your little finger on the inner right corner. So you're going to grip the double between those 2 fingers. You're going to revolve the double face up with your index finger by placing your index finger on the outer edge and bending the index finger in. This causes the card to rotate face up. And now you're going to do the same thing to turn it face down. You do the first action as you raise your hand to show the selection to your spectator. Once they see it, you revolve the card back around as you move your hand back to where it started, right here. At this point, you're going to fake placing the card into the center of the deck. Really what happens is their selection goes to the bottom as you place the indifferent card in the center. So with your double in your hand, you do a pinky pull down with the bottom card. You lift up half the cards with your index finger, and you're going to place the top card outjogged to an angle in the center as your hand continues to grip the cards. So here's the action. It's here. Place the card in the center. Your hand continues to move towards the deck to hold the cards. So it's very natural and it's covered fairly well. If you pretend the camera is your spectator right now, that's the angle you would want to perform this sleight. So I show the card, I place it in the center. At this point you have a queen on top, an indifferent card in the center, the selection on bottom, followed by the other queen. You can cleanly push in the card. Now I say, we have the queen on bottom, your selection in the center, and the other queen on top. It's in those words that I pick up half of the cards with my right hand and I angle them forward. So I'm concealing the lower packet from my spectator. You want to do that because you're going to crimp or bend that packet. Now you want a large bend in the packet. Just squeeze each side so it ends up bent like that. So here's the action, and it goes back in the palm. Now you hold no breaks. You just have that huge gap in the back of the deck caused by bending the cards. At this point, you're going to perform T.G. Murphy's deck flip. This was taught earlier on this disc. What's going to happen because of the bent packet is that packet is going to come to the top but land face down, and the top packet is going to go to the bottom and flip over. Just give it a try and it should happen automatically. So I'll try to do it as slowly as possible. Just perform the deck flip. You can see the bottom packet comes to the top, face down. We have the queen, the selection. There's a face-up packet followed by that with the remaining queen face down on bottom. That's what you want. Just if you have that bend in the packet and you can do a nice TG deck flip, you'll be able to do this no problem. At this point I say, look, the queen has vanished from the top. I pick up at my natural break in the back. I do a half pass as I turn the hands face up and say, and the queen has jumped from the bottom or vanished from the bottom. Now all you have to do is spread through the cards to show the two ladies have found the selected card, in this case the 5 of diamonds.
Under Pressure by Michael Weil is a beautiful flourish and one of our favorites. This is what it looks like. And now let's get into how this works. Before you begin, I strongly suggest that you master the pressure fan. There are many different ways to execute the pressure fan. It's just important that you understand how it works in order to begin this flourish. The way I do a pressure fan is use my 2 fingers. However, it's described in many places with 4 fingers. It doesn't matter. What's important is that you understand how it works. With a pressure fan, you're basically riffling or springing the cards one at a time off the fingertips as you rotate the hand in a semicircle, giving you a nice fan. Under Pressure works the same way. However, instead of going all the way around, you're going to stop about a third of the way and then continue springing the cards off the fingertips. And that's essentially it. Those are the basic mechanics of Under Pressure. However, if you can't do this right away, don't worry, it is a knack. Just stop about a third of the way and experiment with different amounts of pressure, different grips of the cards, and soon you will be doing Under Pressure, and that's it. Okay, so Flick is a neat little flourish done with only a single card. It's actually a boomerang card, but it has a few other applications which I'll show you after we get into the basic mechanics for Flick. To begin, take your thumb and place the card parallel with your thumb. Your index finger goes on back of the card. So it's a funny grip, but this is how you begin Flick. So an easy way to get into it is to extend the hand. The card goes parallel with the back of the thumb, and the index finger curls around the back of the card. So there it is from the front. It's almost like you're making an OK sign and then dragging the index finger behind the thumb and sticking a card between it. From this position, you're just going to do this. You're going to flick the card. And that's it. That's it. It's really simple. Just give it a try. If you have the card in the right position and flick, it'll happen automatically. Now here's a few applications you can use for this flourish. On our website is a trick by David Williamson called Stabbed in the Back. In this trick, he takes a card and tosses it in the deck, in which it lands next to a selection. Now, an alternative to simply tossing the card is to actually flick the card in the deck. It's a little prettier, but one of the advantages to using flick for this effect is you can actually take the card and literally stab the deck from behind. And that's flick in the back. T.J. Murphy's deck flip is another one of our favorite flourishes. It has many applications for both card magic and flourishing, one of which we will show you later on this DVD. This is what it looks like. And now let's get into the explanation. To do this, grip the cards in dealer's grip. However, your index finger is going to curl underneath and apply pressure upward on the cards. As it's applying pressure upward on the cards, the thumb, second, third, and fourth finger apply a downward pressure. This creates tension in the cards, and you can see this tension if you look at the edge of the deck. You'll notice the deck is bowed downward. To cause the cards to flip over, from this tension, you're going to release the grip with the fingers and open the hand. The deck will then spin 360 degrees above the hand and land back face down. That's the idea, at least. So here you can see it in full speed. Sorry, but there's really no way to do this in slow motion. But you have the basic mechanics. You have the tension applied on the deck. You open the hand, and the deck does the flip. I'll say this right now, one of the most common problems people have with this flourish is either one or two cards fly off from either the top or the bottom of the deck. Really, the only suggestion we have to fix this is practice and experimentation. I will say that by using the nail of the index finger when contacting the bottom of the card, this will help keep the bottom card flush with the full deck. This is the reason for this is it reduces friction. However, for the top card, just simply practice, practice, practice. This is the TG deck flip. I hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm going to remove the two queens for this trick. They're going to help me find your selection. Now, of course, I need a selection. So just say stop. Right there. We'll take the three of spades and leave it in the center. That leaves us with the two queens on top. We'll put those on the table and get back to them in a second. Watch your card. Goes in the deck. Now watch close. Just like that. The two queens on the table sandwich one card. The three of spades. So this is auto catch. It's a streamlined version of the version we explained in And Then Some. The version there was just too convoluted and used too many moves to get to the point. So this handling just makes things a lot easier to follow for the spectator. So start by placing two queens or two mates face up on top of the deck. You're going to get an Erdnase break under those mates. You're basically doing the bluff pass taught on the Tricks DVD for the trick TiVo Transpo. This was shown to me by Joshua J., but it's really a handling of an Aaron Fisher idea. So you have your Erdnase break under those two queens. Dribble the cards, have someone say stop. You're going to revolve the selection face up by clipping the card on the right side with your index finger below and middle finger above. We're going to reverse those two fingers, flipping the card face up. Now you're going to align that card on the left side of your right hand packet that covers the left edge. From here you're going to ditch everything below your break. So now you're just left with the two queens and the selection. You move to the right. In the action of flipping that selection face down on top of the pack, your left thumb is going to lift up approximately half the cards, and they're going to meet back in the center. So now you have a block of cards in your right hand. Lift everything up, and right before dribbling the cards onto the packet, your thumb jogs the top card to the left, giving the illusion that it's sticking out in the center. We'll do that once again. You have a break under the two queens. Have someone say stop. Show the card. Execute the bluff pass. And show it's in the center. From here you're clean. and you're ready to go into auto catch. You have the selection third from top. So as you spread to show the queens, just get a break underneath that selection. Peel off the top queen and the queen above that. Now pick up all three. So we have the selection on bottom. Peel off the top queen. Now you're left with two cards in your right hand. The selection is hidden below. Now you're going to place this queen, in this case the Queen of Hearts, to the left of the Queen of Diamonds. So your right hand queen gets placed to the left, sort of a reverse spread. And you're going to table both those cards, really all three of those cards. The selection is hidden underneath the leftmost queen. From here you're completely done. The rest is just show. Cleanly push in the false selection. Now you're going to perform auto catch as explained in And Then Some. As you spring the cards on the table, you're going to use the back of your left hand to spread that tabled packet to reveal the sandwich. It's in that action that you spread to reveal their selection is sandwiched between the two queens. And that's auto catch. Another favorite flourish of ours is the worm. This was created probably back in 2002 or 3 when we released the system. Here's what it looks like. And surprisingly, this is really simple. It's actually one of the flourishes we teach to beginners, and I'm confident that if you didn't pick it up in the lecture, you'll pick it up fairly quickly here. Here's how to get into it. Hold the deck in a straddle grip, but you want your little finger and index finger closer to your thumb than these two fingers. So this would be center. Just move them a little bit away from center, closer to your thumb. Come over with your right hand, place your thumb at this back edge, your index finger is curled on top, and your middle finger at the outer edge. Now you're going to break into a Z formation, or a Z grip as it's called. So you're going to lift up with your middle finger about a third of the cards. And you're going to lift up with your thumb about a third of the cards. You can see it makes this Z formation. At this point, your right hand is going to turn clockwise and your left hand is going to turn counterclockwise. At the same time, your hand rotates down. So here's what happens. So think of it as your right hand turns to 3 o'clock, your left hand turns to 3 o'clock, and now both hands tilt forward to show the backs of the cards to the audience. At this point, your index finger pushes the top card out, and it's going to pivot off that middle finger. So it pivots off your middle finger. Now you'll notice your left little finger can rest down and contact that upper edge of that single card. At this point you can release the grip of your index finger and you've created this diamond shape formation. You can actually rock it back and forth as you see me doing now. Just be careful not to drop the cards. Just have a sturdy grip on everything and make sure everything is nice and square. After you've rocked it back and forth a few times, your thumb on this inward movement, your thumb is going to contact the back of the card of this packet in my right hand, and your thumb is actually going to be on the pip of that card. So in this case, I'm looking at the 6 of spades. My thumb is going to be placed directly over the 6 index. apply pressure, and on this inward rock, you're going to drag that card up, and it's going to contact your little finger. Your thumb is going to come over. Your left thumb goes above your right thumb, contacts that packet, grips it, and now you can extend everything out. And you have this really nice display. To close, just repeat your actions in reverse and just try to get them as square as possible into your hand. That's the worm. We'll do it again. Here's the grip. Come over. You break into this Z grip as you rotate. Your index finger pushes out that top card. And you close the gap by bringing down your left hand packet and resting your little finger on that upper corner, that upper edge. You can now rock the packets back and forth. On this inward rock, your left thumb contacts the index of that bottom packet, drags it up, and it rests or gets clipped between your left little finger and your right thumb. It's in the center, as you can see. Your thumb comes over, grips that packet. Now you can extend everything to create the display, and to close, just reverse the actions and try to get the packets as square as possible into your hand. And that's the worm. Here it is once more at full speed. There you have it.
So Flirt was first published in 2009 on our DVD and then some. This is what it looks like. It's actually one of my favorite flourishes, and I would say it's best to use this on the offbeat. To do this, grip the cards like such with your middle finger and thumb. Your index finger rests at the upper right corner. With the cards held in dealer grip, push this top card off the deck, pivoting it 90 degrees clockwise around the middle finger. When it gets to about here, begin to curl the middle finger in, and this will help extend the card out even further. Do this quick, and it will happen in almost a snapping action. To align the card back with the deck, make sure your thumb is here, because just like your middle finger, your thumb is going to act as the pivot point to help align the card flush with the deck. To do this, simply drag the index finger from the upper right corner down to the lower left corner, and it will automatically be squared with the top of the deck. Do these actions smoothly and quickly, and you will have a nice flourish. It can also be done at the fingertips. And that's Flirt.
And now for the explanation of Portal. Here's what it looks like. You have a card touched. The 7 of spades. We'll leave the 7 sticking out over here, just a shake, and it travels to the other hand, your selection, the 7 of spades. So this is Portal. It was originally taught in our DVD and then some, and here it is again for you guys, the attendees of our lecture. The double lift used in this is also used in the following trick called Fa, so it will be useful. You will need to perform the double lift. So spread the cards in a way that allows you to clip the spread between your little finger and ring finger. This is a very similar technique used in the DMB spread control. You're using a low grip, so your thumb is at this inner edge. You spread the cards, spread about 10, 12, 15 cards, and clip the spread between your little finger and index finger. So the spread is clipped. At this point, as you're squaring the packet, get a break below the top 2 cards. So again, you spread, you have a card touched. As you square, you obtain a little finger break below 2 cards. You'll notice my left thumb is at this outer left corner. Come over with the spread and place your right index finger on the lower right corner. So your thumb is on the outer left corner and your index finger is on the inner right corner. Clip the double at those 2 corners and lift the double off the packet. It's now free from the lower packet. At this point, extend your right index finger so that it clears that right spread. You can see, here it is, extend it so that it clears the outer edge of that spread of cards. At the same time, you're going to move your left hand slightly forward. Now, all you have to do is turn your left hand palm down over the spread, and that rotates the double. From here you can gently set the double onto the spread, making sure that it stays aligned. Momentum does help. At this point, all you have to do is tilt the spread down, causing a slide for the double to slide down, in which you can flip over with the spread. Again, momentum does help. So let's do it up to speed and see what happens. And once more. So that's the double. We'll do it once more so you guys can see the actions. You have a double, clipped, it's turned over onto the spread and flipped back over onto your left-hand packet. At this point, you're going to thumb over the top card. This is not their selection, it's an indifferent card. And you're going to place this card, I would say no more than 4 cards up from this spread of cards. So let's say I place it 3 up. At this point, you're going to push it all the way over until it clears the spread from below. So I push it in, I push it all the way over until you can clip it with your right index finger, and so it's almost clear from the bottom of the spread. Very similar to how you would do a coal. At this point, you're going to get set up for Shreko Howard's pop-out production. This can be found in the Art of Astonishment books, or in more detail on our And Then Some DVD, or in our lecture, as you guys saw. So you're going to clip the top card by placing the cards in a full grip. That is to say that all 4 fingers are on the right side of the packet. Now you're going to angle the top card over, very similar to how you would deal a card, say if you were doing a second deal. You're going to place the little finger at the back edge and that index finger at the front edge. So you're straddling the top card between your index finger and little finger. You're going to bow the card by squeezing the card in with those 2 fingers. Mostly though, it's this index finger that is pushing back towards your little finger that causes the card to bow. This creates tension so that when you release the index finger, the card wants to shoot forward. I'll try it once without stopping it and see what happens. You can see the card just shoots right off the front of the deck. That's exactly what you want to happen. However, when you do that with the group of cards above it, and by pushing down, you're going to trap the card so that it produces halfway out from the deck. So you're just pushing down on that spread of cards, thus trapping the card from shooting all the way out of the deck. And that's what creates the production. So now let's do everything together. We have the double, the ace of hearts is turned over, it's pushed all the way over so it's free from the spread. I get ready for the production. At this point I gesture, and it's at that gesture where I come over and take everything below that X card. So now that card is on bottom of the spread. So it looks like I have 2 spreads, one with the outjogged card. I simply push that card under the spread. This is exactly the same mechanics as you would do for the D&B spread control. So I just push push that card under the spread by bending my index finger in. As you shake, so you're vanishing the card, give it some time and then produce the card in your opposite hand. Now it's at this point that you bring the hands together and show the selection has traveled across. However, my good friend Henrik Nagash pointed out that you want to flash this card before squaring the cards together. That just reassures them that the card really did travel and that you didn't switch it on pulling it out from the deck at the end. And that's Portal. I'll go through it once more in slow motion so you guys can see the mechanics of what's happening. And there we have it. For the last maybe 2 years, I've been playing around with a rising card idea that is heavily inspired off of Chris Kenner's Shifty move. Here's what it looks like. You have a card selected. Let's go with we'll leave the 10 in the center of the pack. Right about there, you can see it's in the center. Just square it up, and we wait just 1 second. And you can see the card actually jumps to the top. Here, I'll show you. It's really on top. But that might have been too fast. So I'll do it again in slow motion. You can see the card on bottom. Just a shake. And the card begins to come to the top. Watch as I continue to rotate the card, and it rewinds itself all the way up to the top. Now I know that was a little fast. So I'll do it once more. Watch, it's on top. If I wait, it goes back down to the bottom of the pack. And that's Fa. So here's how it's done. I would suggest learning Shifty before attempting this new version, as it will help you a lot in learning this effect. You should also know Portal because you'll need that same double lift for this trick. Really, any double lift will work though. So have a card selected and touched, and revolve that card on top of the spread. Square everything, but obtain a little finger break below that top packet. At this point, you're going to half pass the bottom packet. Any half-pass method will work. Some great sources are Card College and Aaron Fisher's book, The Paper Engine. At this point, you have a large packet of face-up cards, a small packet of face-down cards, and 2 cards on top. This is their selection. At this point, I turn the selection, the double, face down, and I pick up a small packet, making sure to leave behind at least 1 face-down card. At this point, I'm going to peel off that top card using the same mechanics taught on this DVD in the Flourish Flirt. So I push that top card forward and jog it in the front. So it's out-jogged in the front. I set the packet back onto the deck, and I'm going to spread them towards myself. So instead of a normal spread going right to left, you're going to do an elongated spread going from the 2 front ends. At this point, it's important that they see all the face down cards. I push everything together slowly. They can see their card cleanly going in the center. I wait, then I push the top card forward. This just builds some suspense. And it also prepares you to do the Chinese deal to get that card face up to the bottom, which is exactly what you need to do. So you push the card forward, you show that it's come to the top, and now you say, let me slow it down for you. Show it's on bottom, and now you're set to perform my version of Shifty, which I call Fa, which stands for focal ascension, because it's based off of 2 focal points that you create with your left index finger and right middle finger. Here's the grip. your left index finger gets placed just below the center point. So here's center, just move it down a fraction of an inch. So it's just below the center. Your right middle finger gets placed just above center. So not in the center, but slightly forward. So nothing takes place in the center of this card. At this point, I lift up a large packet of cards with my right thumb. And now what's going to happen is my right hand is going to make a semicircle going counterclockwise, while pushing down with my middle finger on the card, exerting pressure with my left index finger. Here's what happens. You can see the card spins. You can see if I keep doing that, the card will continue to spin. So you're revolving the two fingers around each other, that's causing the card to spin. And that's essentially what you're doing to perform this trick. If you can get this action right here, you can perform this trick. You can see those two fingers are not in the center of the card, one's always slightly above the other, or vice versa. And the card is caused to spin. So that's the basic mechanics. Once you have that, the card starts on bottom. You lift up a large packet of cards, and you just perform that rotation once until it clears, and then come back and rest. You can see the card comes up. Now, it's important to know that the card clears the packet, clears the lower packet on the half rotation. So it clears the packet at that point. You don't want to come all the way out, clear the deck, and then spin it, and then come back. That would be bad. You want to pick up, push slightly forward, cause the card to spin. You can see when it's at the halfway point, it clears the lower packet, continue to revolve the card around, and it comes up. Once more. Now to get it to the top, the same thing is happening, except you have no support of the top packet. So at one point, you're going to need to use your middle finger and your index finger and your ring finger as support. So let's put it here. The same thing happens. You can see my index finger goes right here for support. Once it clears, my index finger comes over for support, and it comes to the top. So up to speed, it looks like that. Once more, we have it on bottom, lift up, revolve, come slightly up, lift up another packet, revolve, lift up another packet, revolve, then to the top. To the top is the hardest one to do to get it to the top. At this point, you show it's on top. I cleanly and slowly square it to the deck so they see face down. I wait, then I just make sure to push a large group of cards over, concealing all those face down cards, and I continue to spread to show the card has once again traveled to the bottom of the deck. And that's pho. I hope you guys got a lot more detail out of the lecture, because I know this was quick, but I hope you enjoy it and use it, because I sure like it, and I hope you do too. Molecule 3.1. This is a version of Molecule 3, which looks like this. That right there was taught in the System DVD way back in 2002 2 or maybe 3, I don't really remember. Anyway, this new version uses an idea showed to us by Jamie Hall. He's a friend of ours from the UK. You should also know that if you already know Molecule 3, this new version will be a walk in the park, as there's really not that much more to it. With that said, I'm just going to go through it slowly and point out the key points. I think if you guys watch it from this over-the-shoulder view, you'll be able to pick it up much better than if I say a bunch of really confusing things. So here's what happens. You hold the deck in this grip. Notice my middle finger is at the outer corner. Come over with your right hand and break into a Z grip. So I lift up a small packet of cards with my middle finger and another small packet with my thumb. It pivots off my left middle finger. The bottom packet gets kicked up. Now I can rest that center packet onto my palm. All right, don't close those two packets though. At this point, I'm going to revolve this packet face up by bending my index finger in. Now you can see the center point of that packet is going to now land on the pad of my middle finger. I push down, and now with momentum, I'm going to spin the bottom card off by flicking this corner with my thumb while pushing down. I'll do it for you slowly here. This is the action. So with momentum, that card would actually spin, and once it's done spinning, you're going to trap it by clamping those two packets down. While that's happening, you're going to revolve this packet over like this. Your index finger bends in, causing it to turn face down, and extends, causing it to turn face up. You turn the packet over, and you flip everything over onto the deck, including that outjogged face-up card, and everything gets landed back on top of the deck. So once again, it's here. Center card gets spun, trapped. This packet is spun in the same way that you do for Molecule 3. You kind of kick that card over with your fingers as you flip this packet back over onto the deck. Do it once more. So here, flip, packet goes there, the card is spun out and trapped. This packet is spun with my index finger, and everything is placed back onto the deck. And once more. Now up to speed. And that's Molecule 3.1.
So here's Charlie Miller's Cascade Control. The card is peaked and apparently lost back in the deck. Really, it's controlled to the top. This is a very pretty control of a peaked card to the top of the deck. Here's how to do it. So have a card peaked. Before you close the peak, you're going to riffle that selection and then obtain a flush break above their card. So as you can see, I now have a flush break above the selected card. This is done by riffling one card, applying pressure with the little finger, and riffling the remainder of the cards. This will automatically give you a break above the selection. Now this is an exaggerated break. Normally when I do this, you only need a very small break. Because from here, what you're going to do is step the cards. Now to step the cards, you're simply going to squeeze the fingers in, and what this does is, if you look at the edge of the deck, is it segregates the two packets, the lower half and the top half, and creates a step with their selection right here. Now you're going to use that step to pull out their card. So you can see I have a step there. Now notice the pad of the little finger is in direct contact with the top of the selected card. From here, if you were to take all the cards away and continue to apply pressure down on their selection, you'll notice that their selection, as well as the bottom card, due to the friction on the pad of the fingers, will stay in your hand. This is the essential mechanics for the workings of this sleight. So you have a step, you come over with your right hand, air the cards for the waterfall flourish. As you raise the cards, the selection is stripped out. Once it's stripped out, you can begin releasing the cards, and they will fall beneath the selection, which lands on top, thus controlling it to the top. Now another thing that helps the selection rise to the top is due to the pressure of the little finger. You'll notice from the front that by applying pressure, it's going to lever out. This creates a V, or space, for all the cards to waterfall into. So it creates a nice little gap for all the cards to fall beneath the selected card. And that's the Miller cascade control. I'll do it with the card face up so you can follow. So we have the ace of spades, a flush break, you step the cards, air the cards, raise the cards, and waterfall them beneath the selected card. And this is the essential mechanics for the Miller cascade control.